What was the toughest pick for you in this first round?
The Chargers are a really tough team right now. I had them going with interior defensive tackle Jerzon Newton from Illinois. I think he's the top interior defensive lineman in this class. He's a three down type of defensive lineman who you can count on him for third and long situations where he's got to pin his ears back and get after the passer. You can count on him for those early down works to really defend the line of scrimmage as well. So I think that that's a good pick. This wasn't a tough pick because of Jerzon Newton himself as a prospect. It's tough because the Chargers need a lot. The Chargers, I look at their first round pick and I almost, you want to pick like 3 or 4 players for them in the first round because they desperately need cornerback help as well. They need an outside cornerback for sure. The edge rusher, I know Khalil Mack's having a fantastic year, but he's still up there in age. Joey Bosa's not the player that he used to be. They're getting a lot from Tui Pelotu, but you need more on the edge, I think. And if Khalil Mack has any sort of drop off at all whatsoever moving forward, it's like, damn, they're all of a sudden pretty bare at edge rusher, let alone the help that they would need on the interior, where I think all 3 of their starting, or at least 2 of their 3 starting interior defensive linemen are pending free agents. So you've got potential needs at edge, potential needs on the interior defensive line, big time need at corner. And then when you look at their wide receiver situation, Mike Williams is banged up. Obviously, we're seeing him and he's not in the lineup right now. Keenan Allen, he ain't getting any younger, and Quentin Johnston's not panning out for them. So it's almost like, damn, they invested a first-round pick in wide receiver last year, and they kind of need wide receiver. And Gerald Everett's a pending free agent as well. Austin Eckler's probably gone after this year. So the Chargers were the toughest pick, not because of who I gave them, but because all of a sudden this team went from a playoff caliber team last year to the wheels have fallen off in a lot of ways, and including how you look at this roster long-term.
They're also a difficult team because, so you're using the kind of draft order, if the draft started tomorrow, right, or the season finished. So they're picking number 12 overall. But they're also, like you would imagine after this season, people are getting fired in that building. We've no idea who's going to be there making the picks, right? If their head coach is gone, if their head coach and GM are gone, if the entire thing is being blown up, there'll be free agency to come. There'll be a bloodletting on that roster of, veterans getting let go. Like the Chargers might be the most difficult team in the NFL to figure out what the hell they're going to look like by the time the 12th overall pick rolls around on draft day, So I absolutely understand them being a difficult one. What about the easiest one? What's the biggest slam dunk on this draft?
The easiest one is basically whoever's picking number 2 overall, because whoever goes number 1 is Caleb Williams or Drake May, and then whoever's picking at number 2 is, the guy who's left. And for this mock draft, it was Drake May going to the New England Patriots. I've had some back and forth with some Patriots fans who are like, man, obviously getting a quarterback is big for them, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is so alluring, right? And he's so talented. Do you pick him at number 2 over one of these quarterbacks? And I still say no, because you look at the game that the Patriots played this past weekend, there's just no offensive identity with that team. They have no offensive identity right now at all whatsoever. And anytime that is the case, sure, you can build a part of your offensive identity around Marvin Harrison Jr. He is that good, but they need a quarterback, man. I think that this team desperately needs a young quarterback to believe in. And so we know that that's not going to be Mac Jones. We know that's not going to be Bailey Zappi. If they go out and they sign a veteran, even if it's Kirk Cousins, I don't think the rest of this Patriots team is where it needs to be, to where you go, oh, okay, Kirk's in this lineup now, we're good to go. I think this team really needs to hit reset in a lot of different ways, especially on the offensive side of things. And that's why getting Drake May at number 2 with them slotted in that position is the lock for me.
Yeah, I think the only question for anybody at number 2 is, are we taking the quarterback here, or are we trading down for what you would assume would be a significant draft haul to make that deal, right? Like I don't think anybody is seriously asking the question of, do we take whoever the quarterback is, or Marvin Harrison Jr. or whoever else one of the star tackles that could be in a different year, the number 1 overall pick, right? Eric Fisher or whatever. I think the only question is, do you take the quarterback, or do you trade down to 8, or do you trade down to, whatever, get an extra first round pick, an extra player, and maybe have, QB 3 or 4 in this draft. I think that's the only remote debate. Otherwise, you're just taking the quarterback. You're not passing on him for a different position.